Alright friends, welcome to the last part of this series on Tony Rice's and Tony Rice Unit's song called Originally Untitled. This last section is going to go over the last solo that Tony does, and it's not going to be very different at all from the first section of Tony Rice's solo that we did. He's going to do a lot of the same stuff, and us as guitar players, we find that we go back to what feels familiar. Even though we're trying our best to branch out into new areas on the fretboard. But Tony does a lot of some of the stuff he does before. And we're going to go over that right now. So let's go ahead and get our video set up here. I've already got it set and ready. This is going to be happening, let's see, somewhere around the 3.55 mark. Okay? So let's go back to that and we'll see exactly about what Tony's doing here. Okay, so the little lick he does there when he first starts his next solo, we're going to bar our middle finger over the 5th fret, and we're just going to play like a little sweep pick there. Okay, and let me get back to my Ultex pick that I was using earlier. All that is. And so this is going to be part of this, the notes here we're working from is here. So that's 4, 5, 7, 4, 5, 7 on the D and the G string both. And that's what we're going to use for, not all those notes, but that's the shape we're going to use out of this major scale. So we're going to go straight, A, D, G, then come back on the G string on the 4th fret. Okay, we're going to go back to the D string. Okay. Then he's going to go. And then he's going to do this little run that we talked about earlier. Somewhere around in there. If you want to learn more about that, go back to the previous video and I kind of cover that. When he goes to a C, a lot of times you'll use that box 5 of the pentatonic shape, and he'll start on the D string there at the 2nd fret. And then if I'm not mistaken, he goes back into that same little run right here. I think he goes back into that. We went over that also in the last video. Like I said, some of this stuff's going to be repetitive, what he've already went over. I'm just going to cover the new stuff. Okay, he doesn't go into that just yet. He does go into that part later on though, but basically he's walking up the minor pentatonic scale again, shape 1. You know, somewhere around in there. And then he comes back up here. Okay, so after the so he's just noodling around here on the box 1 of the pentatonic shape, around the G. He walks up on the E string. And he kind of noodles around between the G and the D strings from there. And then a little one of those. So he does that again. Like once again, we went over that in the previous video. Some of this high stuff he does. You know, he kind of ends it with that. Okay, so let's go on a little bit further. He's going to come up here a little higher, and I think this section is going to be fairly new from what we've been going over. Okay, so there's quite a lot of bit covered there. He comes up to this part, And he kind of works on that a little bit. Now, I've went over this before in a couple of my licks videos, I think, and maybe the back tracks licks. So he starts with noodles around and kind of stays on that one E string. We're going to be going from the 8th to the 10th. And then we're going to come down and pull off the 9th to the 8th. And then put our pinky finger on the 11th. And all that is that's a pull off. And then this is the upstroke first. Downstroke on the B. Upstroke on that E again. Downstroke. So every other time you're going to do a pull off. Okay, so that's the way that's going to look, and that's just going to be a little faster. Then he does a little walk. Okay, so we did that previously going to the C chord. Now we're going back. We'll go back to the G. So that's going to be 10, 8, 11, 8. 8, 6, 8, 6, 6, 3, 6, 3. And that's his little walk down he does a lot. So let's go back and listen to a little bit more of that. So basically, when we get done with this part, we're going to go back into this kind of going back into that little section there. And he kind of messes up here. Okay, that's what was throwing me off. He messes up here. And he kind of messes up, gathers his bearings again, and does something kind of like this. So we're back into this whole, whole plus a half step shape here on the G string. And instead of going to the D string like that, he's going to use the open D string there. And so he's messing around there once again in C. And we kind of went over that in the last video. And then he's going to come up here and do the... He's going to mess around on that again, which once again we covered on the last video. I'm sorry if this seems kind of, passing over some of the stuff we've already covered. But we're going to, if I have to, I'll edit all this out. And we'll just go on to the parts that are definitely new this time. Okay, so after he goes to the... He's going back to this little... Now he's going into a totally new section. Once again, on the previous video we talked about box 4 here, beginning at the 10th fret of the E string. We're going to go 10, 13, 10, 13, and then 10, 12, 10, 12. 11, 13, 10, 13. Okay, that's the whole entire box shape. But he's going to add a 10 right there to make it kind of a minor sound. Right there, instead of going straight to the 11 on the B string, it's going to go 10, 11, 12. But he's going to kind of walk that up here, and I'll show you a little technique he uses quite a bit. Okay, yes, he is walking up. He's going to walk up beginning at, if I'm hearing this right, beginning at the 10th fret of the D string. Now this is a little thing that Tony does a lot of times to kind of like, in my opinion, it's kind of like a turnaround so that he can get back to where he's needing to go. And what I'm saying here is you could walk up the whole scale. But what he's going to do is kind of skip the second to the last note, which is that note. Instead of going straight to that and coming back down, he's going to skip this one altogether. ascending and hit it on the way down, descending. So we're going to go straight to that high E and then continue on the way back down. And he does this quite a bit, especially with these little minor B minor shapes or this little D shape that we've talked about before. And then he's going to kind of work on that. And then he's going to do kind of like the white rice slide thing he did. And that's going to be on the 11th fret B string, 13th fret E string, slide up the whole step, play it again, and then come back down, and we're going to slide again as well, holding this little D shape here with our first two fingers on the 10th fret of the G, 11th fret of the B, and then eventually come down here and bar and do 10th fret on both the D and the G. So let's try that again slowly. And we're going to start this with an upstroke, believe it or not. That way we can hit that last note with an upstroke. Okay, so far we have at the end here. And like I said, most people don't have this cutaway, so it's a little harder. Once you get here on the higher strings, it's a little tougher anyway because of the action of the guitar strings. You have to press a little harder, and they kind of resist you a little bit more. So it's kind of harder to hit those higher notes like that. So let's see where he goes from there. I think he walks the scale up a couple different times before he finally gets done with it, and he's about to end his little section here. So he's going to do this little thing again. He's going to come down. And bar that. But he does this quite a bit on his playing. And that's going to be barring on the 12th fret, D and G string. Coming back down to the 10th, and then just slide down. Right down here, we covered that on the last video. But then he's going to do this huge vibrato thing where he's basically fluttering between two frets, and that's the 10th and 11th. So that's kind of weird to do that, but and you'll pick it a couple times while you're doing it because obviously it's going to get lower in volume. Okay, so real quick, once again, this whole scale shape, let's start with an upstroke. He probably comes back down there. We'll find out real quick what he's doing here. Okay, what he does after he does that, he's going to kind of walk it back down and kind of hit this, and he's doing a weird chord here. I don't even know what this is, but he does this once again to stall and to buy time to think of what to do next. And the rhythm is kind of odd. It's a little different. He's just going back and forth like this. You know, kind of syncopating the time a little bit. And that chord is going to be on the, it's going to be starting with a ring middle finger here on the 10th string, or excuse me, not 10th string, 10th fret. Then we're going to skip and mute that A string with the back of our middle finger. Then we got the pinky, or the ring on the D string 10th, pinky on the G string 10th, and then our B string is going to be way back here on the 8th fret. It's kind of like a suspended type chord, sounds like. And some of you theory guys out there may know what that is. It could be based on the bass note. It could be a D with a little bit of a suspended flat 7 kind of stuff. I'm not sure. I don't have the brain power to think about it right now. Tony Rice licks will do that to you. So he sits there and rides that for a little bit, okay? And so that's after the... And let's see, that's where they're going from the... So that's probably, in that context, it's either going to be an F chord or part of another part of a G chord here. Kind of sounds kind of like that G7 suspended type of sound. He's just doing it up here instead. So I'm going to go ahead and say it's probably going to be in relation to that chord here that we started with, because that's the section they're in, and it also sounds like what he's playing here. There's our 7 for the G. There's our 7 there. 7. So that's our suspended notes here. There's an F, or excuse me, that's a D. So that's that note. And then that note is our G. So yes, I'm going to say that is a G suspended 7 there. So that's a really cool chord for later on if you ever want to use that chord in another song anywhere. Let's hear the end of the song here. Basically, at the end, he just walks the scale up from a deeper, the bottom notes here. And slides down and ends right there. And that's the end of the song. And that's the end of the song completely there for Tony Rice in the solo, and then they're just going to do the melody for the rest of the song, and it's going to end, and it's going to go back to the... And that's the end of that, and that's also, folks, the end of this series. Thank you for being patient with me, trying to learn this on the fly. Hopefully there's not going to be many of these type of things that I'm going to be doing, because this phone is a pain to try to operate. It likes to freeze on me a little bit. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe. Please click the like button below if you like this lesson. And hopefully this has been valuable and helpful to you. Please share it with others that it may be of equal or greater value with. I'm not sure how long this video is going to be for this week. If it's a short video, I apologize, because there's a lot of in-between stuff I have to mess with to get the phone to work and all that. So I'm probably going to edit a bunch of that out. And some of the stuff that I went over that was already covered in the previous video, please be sure to go back and watch it. Part 1 of Tony's solo on Originally Untitled, because I may cut a lot of that out of this video just to save redundancy, save on that. But that's it for this week's video. Thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to looking at some more of your suggestions and doing some more of those on my guitar lesson suggestion box. Please go there. Go to my channel. The username is Chord6204, and I would leave a link below, but I'll try to remember this, but I don't really go back and look at all the video footage. Sometimes I just upload the videos, and it's hard to remember what I say that I will leave in the links below. So don't quote me on that. Just go to my channel on YouTube, type in my name, or just click on, if you're on this video, then you just click on the username below this video, and it will take you right to my channel, which should have a little thing that says Guitar Lesson Suggestion Box, and it's by itself, its own little playlist. So I'm not going to ramble anymore. It's been a long video for me anyway. It might be shorter for you, but thanks so much for watching, being a faithful subscriber, and I will see you on the next video. God bless.